Good morning, welcome to the latest Premier League review. Putting it out this morning just due to work commitments, extracurricular activities. Also going to change the structure a little bit this week. Instead of just doing a sort of game by game review, I'm going to look at 5 major talking points and go from there really. With regards to game by game, everyone's watched match of the day, everyone's seen the highlights, everyone knows what happens. They don't need me to account that, so we'll just be looking a little bit more in depth on a few of the major issues. So I think what's been the biggest talking point, or certainly what the papers have lavished the most attention on, was Manchester United's victory over Queen's Park Rangers on Sunday. They started this new diamond formation, Daley Blind at the base of it, Di Maria, Herrera, and then Mata furthest forward. Although the team played well generally, for me it was the resurgence of Mata that was the most interesting thing. Now, he's been really poor ever since he joined Manchester United. I don't think I've seen him play particularly well. That was his best performance. And I think the reason for that was in a point made by Gary Neville actually in the first half against Queen's Park Rangers. He said when he performed well at Chelsea, Mata was used to players moving around him. For example, when they played with the three amigos, so Mata, Oscar and Hazard, the dynamism and movement of Oscar and of Hazard around Mata provided him with the space to work in, provided runners for him to play through balls, took away opponents. And that was very much the case on Sunday. You had Herrera, Di Maria, Rooney all creating space for him to work in the number 10 position. And although a lot of people thought it would be Mata perhaps that dropped out of the Man U team, with this new formation, if they do continue with it, he could be the one to step up and prosper. Of course, Di Maria was fantastic. The ability to drive with the ball and cover huge swathes of grass, something that Manchester United have been crying out for several years now. He'll create a huge number of goals and he'll score quite a few as well. A strange one from Real Madrid. They've gone back into this Galactico policy that didn't really serve them well in terms of trophies, and they've sold both him and Xabi Alonso out of a Champions League winning midfield as the two most important midfielders arguably in that team. As regards other performers for Manchester United, Daley Blind I thought was very interesting. Perhaps not your classic defensive midfielder. He did read the game very well, and it was noticeable early in the game how he was reading it very well, a couple of key interceptions, and the confidence that the players in front of him had meant that they could go on and get about their business of scoring goals, safe in the knowledge that he would be mopping up. When it comes to the bigger and better teams, I think perhaps that midfield could struggle against Manchester City or against Chelsea. I think they could get bullied in there, and it wouldn't surprise me, or certainly I think it would be in their interest to play perhaps two defensive midfielders, so Blind and Fletcher perhaps sitting, and play a sort of 4-2-3-1 with Rooney dropping back and have Di Maria, Mata and Rooney behind. I mean, ideally Falcao if you're going to play one up there. I don't think Van Persie is particularly productive in that system. It bodes well for Manchester United. They looked good. Having said that, QPR were horrific. They are potentially one of the favourites for the drops based on performances so far. They also had the opportunity to equalise. I think it was Matty Phillips who put in a particularly tame finish when presented with a goal. And if they'd score there, it might be slightly different. I think Manchester United would have gone on to win the game anyway. But no, Manchester United fans will be pleased with that. The second major talking point, I think, was Liverpool's failure to beat Aston Villa. Now, it shouldn't just be seen as a failure because Aston Villa have been incredibly good this season defensively. They put in another masterclass. Philip Senderos, again, immense. Alan Hutton continuing his resurgence. Nathan Baker was excellent. For Liverpool, though, I can't understand why you would rest Raheem Sterling. This whole concept of protecting him and resting him is It's a bit of a fallacy in my book. He's not, like a 15 or 16-year-old. He's now a seasoned international. He's got to be able to play 2 games in 1 week, and if he's your most dangerous player, then I think it's ridiculous to drop him. Well, not to rest him. Apologies. I think it was also interesting to see how bad Liverpool were defensively. Now Aston Villa could have been 3-0 up at half time quite easily. Senderos missed a sitter, and Weimann could have scored as well. There doesn't appear to be any leadership or any organisation in the back four, and I thought Lovren would bring that. I thought he was a great signing. I thought he was what they were missing, but him and Sakho at centre back at the moment certainly not on the same page. And I think to a large extent this is also to do with Brendan Rodgers' failure to sign a defensive midfielder. I know I always harp on about this, but Steven Gerrard is not a defensive midfielder. He'll sit at the base of a diamond or at the base of midfield and ping passes, but he's not got the defensive discipline to sit there and win challenges. Lucas doesn't appear to be at the races anymore, and having spent all that money, you thought maybe they would have brought in a dedicated defensive midfielder. It's also interesting that with Suarez gone, despite buying a whole raft of replacements, they're not as dynamic going forward as they were. Of course, Balotelli, I always get shouted at for that, will probably come good, but at the moment Liverpool are sort of struggling to recapture last season's scintillating form. Third in the list, I would probably look at Newcastle, and what was one of the most embarrassing defensive performances I've seen in a long time. Now, Southampton played okay, but there was literally no defending going on. I've always been quite a fan of Colaccini, but he didn't look interested. There was no organisation. Players looked off the pace, they looked disinterested. And when that's the case this early in the season, you perhaps have to look at the manager. Now, I actually thought Newcastle would kick on this season. I was impressed with the signings they made. They brought in some good players. But Alan Pardew has to be a favourite for the sack now. The fans have always hated him, but losing that mana, allied to the fact that he's got rid of fans' favourite Hatem Ben Arfa for no discernible reason, really, and he's got the dreaded vote of confidence this week, seems to suggest that Pardew would be heading for the firing line sooner rather than later. Having said that, to some extent, you kind of feel Mike Ashley enjoys noising up Newcastle fans, so Pardew could be there to the end of the season and longer, who knows. But defensively, Newcastle were an absolute shambles and an embarrassment, and not fair on the fans that had travelled all the way down to Southampton to watch the game. Fourth in the list, Chelsea. Good going forward, dodgy at the back. Again, they were scintillating when they clicked into gear. Diego Costa, hugely impressive. Cesc Fabregas, outstanding. But that first half against Swansea and first half against Everton as well, really be quite worrying, I think, for Jose Mourinho. They're conceding goals and looking fairly fallible at times. I'm not sure whether it's a John Terry issue, because Gary Cahill always looks quite solid, or whether it's with a new goalkeeper and the confidence in the back four generally. But I think when they come up against a team that can defend properly and can attack, I think they may struggle, and that's why I don't think they'll win the Champions League, because I don't think they're quite good enough at the back. But when you're that good going forward, most of the time it won't matter. It's just when Terry gets injured, who comes in? And Swansea could have been out of sight at half time if they'd just taken their chances. So maybe a note of caution for all the Chelsea fans going wildly over the top at the moment. Lastly, have a quick look at Arsenal against City. The major talking points of that game. Jack Wilshere, man of the match, capped off a great week, letting his feet do the talking in regards to all the criticism he's got recently. Took his goal wonderfully and was generally a really positive and creative force all game. Arsenal really should have won that game, I think. With Torre and Fernando being out, City were there for the taking. Yet Arsenal crumbled late on, and City should have won the game in terms of the chances they had. Debuchy's now out, and Arsene Wenger, as every Arsenal fan will be sick and tired of hearing, has failed to make the requisite signings to have any replacements in place. You have a threadbare defence now that if any more people get injured, they'll be drafting in under 19s or players playing out of position. It's frustrating, as this happens time and time again. And to finish, I'm gonna use a quote from the Bordeaux chairman, who said, I think in 2011, Arsene Wenger likes to come across as quite polished. When it comes to transfers, he wants to be seen to do better than you and to be quite sly. And to a large extent, I think that's the case. He wants, when he signs a player, to look as if he's beaten everyone else to the signing of that player, or that he's done something that no one else could have done, or he's spotted something that no one else has. And some of the time, you just need to sign a player who's a good Premier League standard and who can help the squad. Pay a wee bit over the odds if that's going to help your team challenge for the title. There are no centre-back replacements in the squad, and that's particularly worrying. I'll maybe just quickly rattle off who I think my team of the week is as well while we're here. Goals, Julian Speroni. Play a back three of Wes Morgan, Philip Senderos and Nathan Baker. Defensive midfield, Daley Blind. Left wing, Di Maria. Cesc Fabregas and Jack Wilshere in the middle. Alexis Sanchez on the right, who worked incredibly hard against City. Up top, we will have Diego Costa and Abel Hernandez, who I thought was a terrific debut. I can understand Southampton fans being like, where's Graziano Pelle? But as I said, Newcastle were shocking. He didn't have to do much to score. His first goal was a free header. His second came from a miscued shot, which then got fed back to him. So I'm not going to put Pelle in for that. But thanks so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you this time next week. Bye-bye.